Okay, I think this is something that needs a diagram. I'm gonna have to draw this out. Um, in terms of us teaching manifestation, first of all, I don't know if manifestation is a buzzword and it's a good keyword in terms of the internet. I'm not sure how I feel about um, how I feel like using that word translates and what it insinuates and how it might distort what it is that I'm attempting to express. So I might have to find a new word, like that's more accurate for what it is I feel I'm trying to express. That's not the word manifestation. That's a sidebar. For now, it's fine. But I'm listening to Olivia right now, Olivia Grace, and she's talking about expectation, law of assumption. She's mentioning a little bit of Abraham Hicks, that kind of thing. And I'm wondering, like, okay, so, law of assumption and law of attraction are two different things. I started out with law of attraction like most people did, and my intro to that was like Abraham Hicks, Reverend Ike, that kind of thing. I also am attempting to understand the connection between teaching manifestation through the metaphor of gamification, like gamifying your life. There's a discussion that I listened to years ago on YouTube. If I can find it, I'll link it for sure. It's a really great talk. I can't remember who. It might have been a Proco interview. It might have been one of those. Maybe it's been so long since I heard it. I listened to it one time. It's a really long interview, if I remember correctly, and I think I split it up into a few days of me listening to it in chunks because there's so much information in there. If I find it, I'll link it. But I remember the guy he had. I think he's someone who's popular in the gaming industry, and he was an older dude, gray hair, white. I'm describing a generic man, okay? So like, I'll find the video, whatever. But I'm attempting to create the connection of like how to teach people manifestation through gamification and like creating a some type of rubric and like some type of like flow chart, some type of guidance, like indicators, points of like checkpoints of progression, that kind of thing. Because I'm in a manifestation course right now. And while I love this course, it is highly, 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 highly logical in its formatting and how it teaches you to approach the idea of co-creation. It's very logical, very much so left brain, and it works for me because that part of my brain is very active and like I need kind of some type of structure, some type of layout for like what the fuck is going on right now, like how to proceed. But because I'm also right brained, I can understand why I might not be getting certain results. It's because I'm like activating one side of my brain and not the other. And realistically, if imagination is the key to all the manifestation, like if you can see it, you can have it, you can manifest it, then imagination lives in the right side of your brain, right? With creativity, I would assume. I'm not a fucking neuroscientist. Like, I don't know. But just my assumption from what I kind of think I know, I would assume that imagination, the faculty for like how imagination operates would happen somewhere between the right brain and maybe like a little bit of activation in the left. That's something that I need to draw a diagram for so I can explain to you how I'm seeing it. But I say all that to say, Abraham Hicks, Olivia was talking about how Abraham Hicks talks about the vortex, which is true. She does. It's like part of the thing that, like, part of the way that she presents manifestation and like the idea, universal law, she presents it through this idea of the vortex. And so you have to really listen to Abraham Hicks, to get an understanding of that. With that being said, people struggle with the idea of getting into the vortex even in law of attraction because it requires you to have to do something and it requires you to have to like you are responsible for raising your vibration in a very active participatory way. And that's hard for a lot of people. That action is kind of like right brained. Like when it comes to raising your frequency, that's a right brain activity to me. And so people, if you are raised in America, you're taught to activate the left side of your brain most dominantly. So the idea of taking an action that requires you to operate from the right side of your brain for an extended period of time is like asking someone who's never been to the gym to do 30 pull-ups. You know, like they just don't have the muscle for it. And so this is why I think people kind of get weird about Abraham Hicks sometimes. And like, that's kind of what Olivia was saying. But I was just like expanding on that more as she introduced that point. And I'm like, what really is it? I think it's that. I think it's just like, as a society, we are taught to operate from the left side most frequently. And manifestation and co-creation is a right brain activity. There's a caveat to that. Again, I'm not going to try to explain it. I'll just draw a diagram and explain it from the diagram to help you understand it, hopefully. But that being said, I'm like, okay, so that's law of attraction. Law of assumption is where you start to meet concepts like the God state, everyone is you pushed out. I'm not sure if Abraham talked about that, but I would say for me, those concepts were introduced in law of assumption, not law of attraction. At least not in the same way. And so I like, if imagination is the only thing that truly exists, like that's the only muscle that you have to work in order to manifest things in your real life, or I guess your physical reality. What's the difference between imagining something, like properly visualizing it, and fantasizing about it became my own internal question. Like, I'm sure many people are like, okay, well, like, I'm thinking about it, like, I'm thinking about the thing that I want, and I'm thinking about the experience that I want to have, so why isn't it occurring? Like, why isn't it manifesting? And how can I say this? Ooh. I think it's not manifesting because people are really fantasizing. And that's because fantasizing is a left brain operation. Like, in order to access a fantasy, you have to be in the left side of your brain. And I haven't quite understood why that is. Like, God is trying to explain it to me, and I'm not quite understanding, like, why, what it is about the left brain that allows fantasy to manifest for us as an internal experience versus imagination living in the right side of the brain. So, like, I'm not a neuroscientist, but like maybe I might pretend to be one for a little while and like read up on some like neuroscience and read up more about the anatomy of the brain because I think in order for me to progress the coursework that I'm attempting to build, I need to know that information. I need to be able to understand it so that I can extrapolate it and abstract it in the way that I want to when it comes to me teaching the way that I want to teach. Okay. So that's just something off the top of my brain that I wanted to make a note of. I need to come back to this. Um, I will when the time is right, I guess. Whatever. See you later.